Hey, Pretty Girl Club. Welcome to the Thin Privilege series. So, this is a spin-off of the Beluga series. This is actually a series on my members page. So, the Beluga series is more so about reasons why you're fat, and then the Thin Privilege series is more about the benefits of thin privilege. So, today I want to talk about how exotical thin privilege is extremely powerful. I want to talk about like pretty girl thin privilege compared to medium ugly thin privilege because I see a lot of people talking about Love Island. I haven't had a chance to watch the entire season yet, but they're making fun of this girl named Melanie because she used to be plus size. First of all, why the fuck would you make fun of someone for becoming healthy? Do you see that ghetto ass crabs in a bucket mentality? You're mad because she became healthy. And then I saw people saying, oh, she's not used to male attention, or basically she's a giant pick me because she spent her life being fat. Okay, so then what does that say about the majority of black women then? Black women statistically, majority of black women are overweight. So you're admitting then that black culture is pick me culture. If you're saying that being overweight causes you to be a pick me, then you're admitting that your mama is a pick me, your sisters, your cousins, your aunties, every black baby mama in the United States. You're basically saying that all of them are pick me's. So, do you see how they try to apply these rules to pretty exoticals, but then they don't realize that by dissing you, they're dissing themselves? They'll be like, oh, she was fat. That's why she was so desperate. Okay, and what is the majority of the audience who watches Love Island? Because you're damn sure not walking around with six packs and flat stomachs. You are definitely not walking around with toned arms and legs. A lot of the reason why women are so parasocial with the exoticals on Love Island is because those women themselves, they don't have that privilege. They will never look that good in terms of like body type and fitness level. If you join the Patreon and you look at the exoticals in the Discord, we are having our own fucking Love Islands in real life. And that's the difference between thin privilege versus like being medium ugly. If you are a pretty girl who is thin, like maybe you have a flat stomach or something like that, you already are getting attention in everyday life. You don't even have the time to obsess and to search up people's pictures from 10 years ago and be like, oh, this person used to be fat, as if that somehow downplays their beauty. The girl on Love Island, when she was plus size, she was a fucking model. And that's a part of being an exotical. That's part of exotical privilege. Guess what? You can be a fat exotical and still have a pedestal. How you like them apples? People are still worshiping your phenotype. They're still worshiping your hair texture. You still have cultural capital. They still put a premium on you because of your background and the way that you look. So being a fat exotical, that still doesn't cancel out your other privileges, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. And so I just think that if you're an exotical and you become in shape, these bitches can't tell you nothing. And that's another thing too. I've noticed that on the internet, a lot of women brag about their bodies. Like I'll see a lot of unambiguous women saying, "Oh, well, we have the best bodies," and it's like we have a nice ass. We're known for having the best shape, and it's like, no, bitch, I have a nice shape. Anything you have, I have the same thing. Oh, well, I have a flat stomach. Okay, so do I. Okay, well, I have a nice ass. So do I. And I don't have a whole bunch of cellulite and stretch marks popping out everywhere. I'm not jiggling and wiggling and badonka-donka-donking every time I walk. But I wanted to make this episode, though, because it's always the beluga ass bitches that are policing everybody else's body. It's always belugas. They get mad at exoticals who want to lose weight. They get mad at exoticals because they want to have a flat stomach, or maybe they go from being obese to being like slim thick, and then they're just, they're starting to eat healthy and stuff. They always want to police somebody else's body who looks better than them. That's what it is. I don't see them policing Gabby Sidibe. Why? Because they don't believe Gabby Sidibe looks better than them. People only want to police your body when they feel threatened by you. And then they try to bring up your past weight as a way to kind of expose you, like, oh my God, you used to be fat. And it's like, okay, if anything, that's just showing you how far I've come. So you really just increased my status even more. All you're doing is admitting that I'm a fucking hardworking ass bitch. You're admitting that I have tenacity, I have ambition. You're admitting that I'm a consistent ass bitch, and that's why I was able to lose weight. That's all you're doing. So making fun of somebody who used to be plus size, who got healthy, that's not the diss that you think it is, because Melanie achieved what the majority of women could never. Bitch, you could never stay consistent on Weight Watchers. You could never stay consistent on keto. You couldn't even last on keto for more than 3 days, and you're over here making fun of somebody who actually was able to get to a healthy weight and be strong and have muscle tone and look healthy and not have a whole bunch of like saggy skin. And that's another thing. I see people making fun of like women who get the Ozempic, or they get the gastric bypass, or they get the surgery to remove the extra skin. And it's like, ma'am, if you're jealous, just say it. You're just mad because you have shitty health care. You don't have the health care to afford to have a doctor prescribe you anything, because you work a terrible ass job, you have terrible health care, or maybe you couldn't afford it. You can't afford to pay out of pocket. So that's why you're mad that the other girl was able to afford to get the skin removed. You're mad because the other girl was able to afford Ozempic. And then they'll be like, oh, well, if you take Ozempic, or if you get these surgeries and stuff, there are a bunch of risks. Okay, so which one is worse? The risks from getting to a healthy weight, or the risks of obesity? I'll wait. And another thing too that a lot of people won't admit is, yeah, your personality does change once you lose weight. You don't always have that same beluga mentality. As a matter of fact, you literally can't have that same beluga mentality. Otherwise, you're going to go back to being fat. And so it's like you're acknowledging the fact that people are losing weight, but you're not acknowledging the mindset change that is required for you to lose weight. I wish somebody would talk shit about me losing weight. And another thing too is people assume that if you're insecure in other areas that you must be insecure about your body as well. Bitch, that's false, actually. That's false. Just because somebody has an insecurity regarding men, or regarding fame, or about, that doesn't mean that they're insecure about their body. You cannot convince me that women who are walking around in bikinis and they're being photographed and they're being seen and visible in front of the entire world, you can't tell me that those women are insecure about their bodies. They must not be that insecure. A woman who is truly insecure about her body, she's not even going to show her body at all. She's probably going to not try out for modeling. She's not going to try out for any TV shows. And this goes for plus size women as well. So if a woman is a plus size model, she is probably not ashamed of her body being seen. Because if she truly was, then she wouldn't even try out for modeling. And that's another part of being an exotical, by the way. When you're an exotical, you just have more options. So because you got that face card, because the black community puts you on a pedestal, because you have proximity to non-blackness, and so other ethnicities can see themselves in you, you can actually still utilize your pretty privilege, even if you are not the most skinny. And I think that's what pisses people off, because you have a lot more options for the different types of privilege. You don't necessarily have to have every single privilege just to be treated as human. And that's the difference between pretty girl privilege versus being medium ugly and then you're just skinny. A lot of medium ugly women, they get mad because they spent all that time losing weight. They spent all that time working on that ass so they can brag about it. Oh, I have a better ass than you. Oh, look at me. I can bench 500 pounds on the squat rack, and I have a perfectly circular bubble butt. They spent all this time working on a bubble butt, but then their face card declines. Face card declines. They have no edges. Teeth are yellow as fuck. Breath is bad. They got halitosis. They have fungus on their nails. Their outfits look like shit. They're not dressing for their body type. But they thought that because they have a nice ass, that suddenly that would solve all their problems. And it's like, no, that's the difference between attaining one privilege versus privilege stacking. If you're an exotical, you've already got a couple of privileges just on their own. You were already born with a couple of privileges. And don't even get me started on if you were born in a first world country or something. So you already have a few things kind of working in your favor. And so I think that's another reason why people get especially triggered once the exotical gets a flat stomach as well. Because let's be honest, okay, if somebody is attracted to your skin complexion or your phenotype, which is a combination of your skin, hair texture, and facial features, if they're already attracted to that, and then you want to add on having a nice body, and now you're wearing a bikini, and now you're wearing like kind of these more sexy clothes, now that kind of takes it up to the next level. It's almost like you're naturally flaunting what you have. And so that's what makes people mad. But it's like, guess what? That's a part of thin privilege. And I will never, ever allow somebody to flex their body on me. Bitch, you will never be able to say, "Oh, Exoticals United, she looks terrible. Oh my god, she has the worst body I've ever seen." Bitch, you will never be able to say that about me. Nobody will ever be able to flex their stomach on mine, or flex their ass, or flex their legs, or whatever. No, guess what? My legs are toned, my arms are toned, I am at a healthy weight, I'm at a BMI. I actually just had a meeting with a nutritionist last week. So you can't call me unhealthy. Oh, well, these girls who are skinny, well, they're malnourished. Actually, no, I'm not. Oh, well, Exoticals United, she's not eating enough calories. That is false. I literally just talked to a nutritionist last week. She said it was okay for me to eat the number of calories that I was suggesting. But when Exoticals have a healthy weight, or when they get like this flat stomach privilege, and let's talk about that as well, because one of the main reasons that women want to lose weight is so they can have a flat stomach. If you ask the average obese person, like if they could change one body part, just one, what body part would they change? Most people in general are going to say they want a flat stomach. So even if their legs are a little thicker, even if their arms, are have a little bit of fat on them, or if they have big boobs or whatever, that's not a big deal. Most people in general are going on a weight loss journey so they can attain that flat stomach. And I see a lot of people trying to create a hierarchy based on your actual body shape. No, that's a fat girl problem. That is a struggle medium problem. The bigger the woman is, the more she's worried about having an hourglass shape versus not. You do not have to have a fucking hourglass. If you are skinny and you're at a healthy weight and you got a toned stomach, toned arms, toned legs, then nobody cares. I'm telling you, nobody gives a fuck. Because you're already skinny. You already look like a model. So it's not a big deal. There are tons of beauty icons. As a matter of fact, I would argue that the majority of beauty icons, they don't even have an hourglass shape with wide hips and all that. Look at Janet Jackson. Look at Sierra. Look at all these women. They don't have wide hips and like a bubble butt, or like Naomi Campbell. These women are just thin and healthy and fit. So this whole talking point of, oh, I have a bigger ass than you, or my actual body shape looks better than yours, that's a struggle medium talking point. That she's struggling with being an XL. She's a size 1X. I only hear women size 1X and above that try to talk shit about skinny women who don't have wide hips. I don't have to rely on wide hip. Well, actually, I do happen to have wide hips, but it's like I don't have to rely on that though. I don't have to constantly worry about that when I'm putting on clothes, because when you're at a healthy weight, you can put on damn near anything and you're still going to look cute because your body shape is pedestalized in society. Healthy bodies have a positive collective image in society. The only place where we have a negative collective image is in the fat community, where they're trying to be body positive. And isn't that ironic? You're over here promoting body positivity. You're positive about every body shape except for women who are actually at a healthy weight. And then you want to shame us for losing weight, and then you want to say things like, oh, well, she still has a fat girl mindset even after she lost the weight. No, that's actually false, because if somebody's inferiority complex is that strong, they would never go on a TV show that emphasizes wearing bikinis on an island. That just doesn't make sense. So it's like, yeah, some of these people may be insecure about other areas, but one thing they're not insecure about is their bodies. That's why they're showing it. And I want to talk a little bit about this parasocial obsession with Love Island. I feel like Love Island has become a femcel show. This is no shade against the people who are on Love Island, because I'm actually happy. Love Island has been phenomenal for the Exotical collective image. The Exoticals are taking over Love Island. Some of the most famous people off of Love Island are Exoticals, so I will never downplay the women who are on that show. So more power to them. I'm actually going to go follow them after I get done recording this video. I haven't even watched the show, and I'm just going to follow them just to support my image being shown. But I feel like a lot of femcels, they're obsessed with watching these love reality shows. And the reason why is because they do not receive any love in real life. They don't receive any pampering. And let's be honest, this is not real love. I mean, come on. It's just Love Island. It's just The Bachelor, Bachelorette, Love is Blind and stuff. So a lot of these people, they're really just dating. But a lot of belugas, they don't have an actual dating life. They don't know what it's like to be wined and dined. They don't know what it's like to receive opportunities based on their beauty. And so they have no choice but to live vicariously through women who look better than them. And then they try to put down women for losing weight, which is idiotic. That's a crabs in a bucket mentality. Also, in terms of Melanie having been a plus size model, she was signed to Wilhelmina Models, which is the same agency that was on America's Next Top Model. So, how many plus size women talking shit, how many of those women are getting approached by the same agencies from America's Next Top Model? And by the way, I'm not promoting that show. I'm not saying that that's like the queen of modeling or whatever. But still, the fact that Exoticals are out here, we are making a name for ourselves. We have a positive collective image for a reason. It's because we're about our fucking business. We don't sit around being parasocial 24/7 talking shit about everybody else. We know how to get our bags, whether we're plus size, whether we're medium, whether we're skinny. We know how to get our exotical tax. Not to mention that most of the people who create these beauty brands that are famous and stuff, a lot of those women are exoticals as well, like Rihanna, who owns Fenty Beauty. You've got all those hair care companies, Resos Curls, Miss Jessie's, Mix Chicks, all these brands and stuff. A lot of them are started by exoticals as well. So you're never going to be able to convince me at any body size that I'm less than anybody else. Anytime I hear somebody talk shit about my image or they talk shit about women of my community leveling up, all that does is that just gives me more fire. That literally makes me want to go get on the elliptical right now. It makes me want to go eat something healthy right now. It makes me want to go eat a tomato salad. That's literally what I'm craving right now. I want to eat a fucking tomato salad because these bitches could never. You could never convince me that my body is somehow worthless or it's not contributing to a better life. No, it is contributing to a better life. Not only do I look good, but I literally have more energy. All these people obsessing over Love Island. Bitch, you probably haven't even been to an island. When was the last time you've been to an island? When was the last time you got taken to an island? When was the last time you were able to walk on the beach on an island? Like, the reason that I care about my body, I am going to have my own life where I am sitting on an island, sipping on a pina colada with no alcohol in it. The women who talk the most shit are usually the dusty women, but I want to talk about thin privilege. A lot of my thin privilege videos tend to get canceled or demonetized or removed off YouTube. That's why I put them on the members page. But it's like, thin privilege is real. And guess what? I'm not giving it up for anybody. You're not going to convince me to become fat. You're not going to convince me to just eat the fried chicken or eat the shit at the cookout. Why is it that there's always a beluga that's slurping on chicken wings? Have you ever seen that? Like, I went to a sports bar recently, because you know how like the World Cup is going on and like all these playoffs and stuff are going on. So I was at a sports bar, and by the way, I don't usually go to these places by myself. I'll go with like my friends, or maybe a guy will take me or something random like that. So why is it that when I was at the sports bar, you see all these pretty women who are skinny, they're walking around in their little uniforms, you know, they look cute, they're all in shape, they have their cute little jerseys on. And then as soon as you turn your head, why is there a beluga sitting at the bar slurping up on some barbecue wings? She's over here messing up her acrylic nails. She's getting barbecue sauce all under her acrylic nails. She's got fucking lemon pepper everywhere. There are crumbs everywhere because she decided to get a wing sampler. And then she's just like... You can literally hear her slurping up and snorting up the chicken wings. And it's like, ma'am, are you having fun? Is that why you came here? You just came here so you can slurp up the chicken wings. Meanwhile, you've got all these pretty girls. They're just walking around. They're getting their steps in. They're actually making money to be in that sports bar. You know, they're getting tips. Then you got the people like me who are there hanging out. We're being wined and dined. We're being paid for. We're hanging out with our friends. We're dancing. We're moving our bodies. We're actually enjoying the environment. You've got people who are watching the game. But then the one beluga, she's not paying attention to anybody. It's all about her and the chicken wings. She's not speaking to anybody. She's not even having a friendly conversation with the bartenders. She's just sitting there anxiously, gulping down on some chicken wings. She's about to choke on one of the chicken bones. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if she literally started choking and they had to call the ambulance, because that's how fast she was eating the chicken wings. She was acting like she was in a food competition. Have you ever seen those food competitions where they're trying to eat as much food as possible? So they'll have one person sitting there and then they just have like this long table filled with a bunch of food. And then they set a timer so whoever eats the most food the fastest, like that's who wins the game. That's how this woman was sitting there at the table slurping up on those chicken wings. And it's like, first of all, why would I go into a sports bar and pay an overpriced amount for some chicken wings? If I'm going to get some wings, I'm going to at least go to a place that specializes in wings. Why would I get some mediocre, watery ass barbecue chicken wings where the sauce on the chicken wings is so red that it literally just looks like ketchup? The chicken wings didn't even look good. It's like, ma'am, I could have made some better chicken wings at home. These are mediocre chicken wings. It costs $30 for one plate, which is really a ripoff. I could have spent $30 at a gym membership. So you got women over here who are paying $30 for some watery, soggy barbecue chicken wings. They're messing up their acrylic nails. You spent $200 on your acrylic nails just to get them drenched in barbecue sauce. And have you ever noticed, like, the big girls, they always do have the nice acrylic nails because it's like, maybe that's what they're focusing on. Like, okay, if I can't get the pretty privilege with the other areas, look, bitch, I'm going to get my nails done. And it's like, okay, so then why would you spend all that money on your nails just to go and fuck it up at the bar with some nasty barbecue sauce that is red instead of actually being brown? Barbecue sauce is supposed to be like a dark brownish color. It's not supposed to be fucking bright cherry red. That's a sign that it is probably cheaply made. They probably just made the stuff frozen. We all know that a lot of bars are notorious for serving frozen food. And if you don't know, all you have to do is watch the videos on TikTok and stuff where they will expose. Like, you have videos of people who work at Wingstop, they work at these places, and they're exposing that all they're doing is just cooking frozen Tyson chicken wings. You know the Tyson chicken wings that you get from the grocery store? The frozen ones? It's like $8 for a huge bag. Yeah, that's all they're cooking at these sports bars. So they're having that. They're dunking it in Heinz ketchup, which is gross. If you are a ketchup person, I will never understand the obsession with ketchup. It's not even good. It does not taste like actual tomatoes. As a person who loves tomatoes, I do not like ketchup because it doesn't have a tomato taste. If I had to choose between ketchup versus pasta sauce, I'd rather just have the pasta sauce, although pasta sauce is also questionable as well. But it's like, they're over here drenching their bodies and screwing up their new manicure by dipping it in fucking Heinz ketchup and Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce, even though the wings at that sports bar, that was not Sweet Baby Ray's, because I know what Sweet Baby Ray's looks like, and that was not it. So they're sitting in a corner like a rhinoceros, hunched over the chicken wings. And it's like, you can tell that some of these women, they came to the bar because they wanted to socialize, right? So the whole point is you're supposed to socialize. So why would you then spend your money and then just chomp down on some wings when you know that you came there so you could talk to people? Meanwhile, all the pretty exoticals are just walking around in their cute little shorts. By the way, that's another aspect of thin privilege. I can wear shorts. I can wear shorts. I don't have to worry about anything jiggling out or hanging out. Oh my god, my butt looks really bad. Oh, it just has so many stretch marks. No, I don't have any fucking stretch marks because I've been using shea butter. I've been using the cocoa butter lotions and the shea butter lotions for over a year. So, bitch, I don't have a bunch of stretch marks to worry about. And also, when you become thin, I just feel like you start caring about your body more. So, guess what? I have some Too Faced makeup. You know the Too Faced brand? I have that makeup and I can put that on my body if it's really that serious. I literally have a darker foundation, so it's like tan, and I can put it on my legs if I really want my legs to look perfect. Do you see how when you become thin, it's like you're kind of just like this living Barbie doll? And by the way, speaking of that, okay, so I've been talking a lot of shit about nails on my channel and how I don't really care about doing my nails and toes. I just paint them. So what I've been doing is I've just been going to Walmart and getting the Sally Hansen nail polish. You know, the cheap one? I really like the instant dry nail polish from there. So I've been using that. But guess what? It is now June. My hot girl summer has been so, like, I've had so many events popping off, like fun events. There have been so many fun events that for the first time, I am actually considering going to the nail salon and going to get a pedicure because that's how much my toes have been out lately. The amount of times that I've been to pool parties, it's only the beginning of June when I'm recording this. And by the way, life is not about partying. I'm not encouraging you guys to go and like, party your life away. I don't even drink or smoke. So when I'm quote unquote partying, it's really more so I'm just hanging out with my friend. We're just kind of spilling the tea about stuff. I'm spending time with people that I care about. That's my definition of partying. And have you ever noticed, by the way, that a lot of belugas, their definition of partying is food? They will literally ask, oh, what kind of food is there going to be? It doesn't matter what the event is. If it's a cookout, they're like, oh, what kind of food are they going to have? If someone dies, oh, what kind of food are they going to have? So you're telling me you're not going to attend the funeral because they don't have good enough food. And then once they get to the parties, they hover off to the side, they eat up all the hors d'oeuvres, they eat up all the donuts. Anytime there's a cupcake tier, have you ever seen those where it's like a tower filled with cupcakes or macaroons or like, all these pretty little snacks? They go and they hover over that or they completely destroy the display. They destroy the entire thing. So then there are a bunch of crumbs everywhere, as if a dog just came and just lapped it up and just soaked everything up with their tongue. Have you ever seen how dogs drink water and they're just like, look, 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 and they're like kind of licking on the water? That's how a lot of belugas end up eating food and they don't realize it. It actually looks kind of nasty. And I'm not even trying to be mean, but like I've literally seen some big women, whenever they're eating wings, they literally stick out their tongue first and kind of like lick on the wings and like suck off the nasty barbecue sauce. And it's like, girl, the barbecue sauce is not that good. You're over here saying that I eat nasty food. You're trying to say that I eat like a rabbit. You're making fun of my food because I eat like salads and stuff, and then you say my shit has no seasoning. Bitch, you're over here slurping up on Heinz ketchup. You don't even realize that the wings you're eating, they've been dipped in ketchup. It is not that good. That is not authentic African American style barbecue sauce. You claim to have such good taste in food. Has anybody noticed that in the African American community, of course, African Americans want to be the fucking experts on seasoning. So you're telling me you're a part of the African American community and you're slurping up on Heinz ketchup. That is an abomination. You should be ashamed of yourself. You have now been banned from the African American community because there is no way that Heinz ketchup tastes better than actual rub or like an actual barbecue that was made on the grill. It doesn't taste better. Nothing tastes that good, ma'am. And also, one of my plans for this summer is like, if I'm going to a barbecue, bitch, I'm going to a barbecue where somebody else is doing the cooking. Okay, so I'm going to the cookout. There needs to be somebody on the grill. I want to see a big black man on the grill because those guys are the best at cooking the barbecue. So that's what I want to see. I want to see the belugas. If you're going to be around, you need to be cooking something because you like to brag so much about how good your food is. Okay, so then get your ass up. Stop sitting at the bar and slurping up on all the Heinz ketchup chicken wings. Stop slurping on these nasty chicken wings. You need to get your butt up and actually make some food at a cookout then. Because even that burns more calories than just sitting down. Because at least if you're standing outside at your apartment pool and you're cooking barbecue stuff, you're still burning calories because you're out in the sun. Your body is getting heat. Your body temperature is going up. So you're going to get rid of some of that excess water weight that you've been holding. And then also, you're cooking, you're being social, and you're standing up. You're not sitting on your ass. And so now you're burning more calories. That's what I would do. If I was a beluga and I wanted to start off by losing weight, and let's say I'm too fat, I can't walk that well or anything. Okay, so then I'll start by standing up and having my own cookout instead of traveling. And also at the sports bar that I was at, you literally had to pay like $30 for parking. So I'm never going back because that was some bullshit. It's like, why would I pay $30 just to park here? Like, it's a nice sports bar, but it's really not all that. But it's like, imagine going to a sports bar, paying $30 for parking, or you paid $20 for an Uber, because I know you didn't walk here. So you went through all that just so you could slurp up on some nasty Heinz ketchup wings. And I know the Heinz ketchup warriors are going to comment down below, oh no, but Heinz ketchup is so good. Oh, but I really like it. Look, if you're broke, just say it. We all know that Heinz ketchup is a typical sauce found in impoverished African American households. Okay. But it's like, if I'm going to have a poverty sauce, if I'm going to live a poverty lifestyle, I'm going to at least choose Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce. The barbecue sauce from Sweet Baby Ray's is way better than the fucking nasty ass Heinz ketchup. And then the ketchup, it like becomes crusty. Like right where you squeeze out the ketchup, there's always a little plastic part at the top. And then there's always ketchup that's like crunched up at the top. And that's so nasty. That's a sign that it is extremely processed. Sweet Baby Ray's would never. And I know a lot of people love sauces, but it's like, you know what, bitch? I am the sauce. I am the snack. I am the meal. Instead of looking like just a snack, bitch, I am the full meal. I look like a full meal. So why would I want to risk ruining my halter top? I'm over here risking getting Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce all over my white halter top, all over my pink halter top. I'm risking my nails getting fucked up, all because I wanted to be a beluga. And then they'll try to make the excuse, oh, but Exoticals United, chicken is not unhealthy. When it's high fat and you're already fat, that is unhealthy, actually. But going back to the whole nails and toes thing, for the first time, I'm actually considering going to the nail salon and going to get a pedicure as well, because the amount of pool parties that I'm going to be going to, I've already gone to, let me see, one, two, three, probably at least 3 or 4 different like pool parties or just hanging out in the jacuzzi and stuff. Be sure to join the Patreon so you can hear all the tea about that. But yeah, there's that going on. And also it's like, for those of you who are dating or for those of you who are like being perceived a lot, that's kind of how I feel lately, where people are like looking at me. Like I was out and this guy commented on how my hands are like really soft and everything. And it's like, do you see what I mean? Like when you are skinny and pretty, my hands don't look like sausages. I don't have fingers that look like a giant Vienna sausage. I don't have fingers that look like giant hot dogs. It doesn't look like I have 5 hot dogs on my hand. So, yes, when you are pretty and have thin privilege, people are looking at more of the details of your body and they're kind of appreciating it. And that's another thing about having thin privilege. I do not feel over sexualized. When you're thick, people are obsessed with your ass, they're obsessed with your boobs. You know, they just want to play with your boobs and ass. And I feel like when you are skinny, people tend to see your body more holistically. You get respect. People put some respect on your name. I wish a bitch would try to disrespect my body. Nobody can. You can't disrespect my body because I literally have an athletic body. Like, what are you going to disrespect about my body? What can you say? Oh, she has no ass. No, that's actually false. My butt is in proportion with the rest of my body. And like I said, when you're actually at a healthy weight, nobody is over here creating a hierarchy based on how wide your hips are, like your hip to waist ratio. Oh, well, she's just skinny. She just looks like Sierra. Well, she's ugly. I've never heard anybody say that in my life. I've never heard anybody look at Naomi Campbell's body type and say, oh, well, she doesn't have a big ass, so, her body is ugly. No, that's a gaslighting tactic that people try to use against thin, privileged women. But think about the types of women that belugas worship. I want you to think about that for a moment. Who do belugas worship in the black community? They worship the Y2K video vixens. They worship the Megan Goods. They worship the Lauren Londons. They worship the Justine Skies and the Bernice Burgos and the Megan Thee Stallions. They worship women who are thin. These women they're not obese. So there's all this bullshit where they try to talk and say, oh, well, you don't have a booty. You don't have a nice body. Meanwhile, if you go on that woman's Pinterest account right now, she's got 100 pictures of women with your exact body type. So yes, that is a part of my thin privilege. I love looking like a video vixen. I love having that look. Yes, I do feel like I look good. Yes, I do think I'm the shit when I walk around with my tiny ass halter dress. That's actually one of my favorite summer outfits. I love a good halter dress. I love, like, Do you guys remember the jersey dresses from the early 2000s? Have you guys seen the Victoria Monet music video where she's wearing that blue jersey dress? I love that aesthetic. So, yes, I love walking around in my short ass mini dress with some big ass high heels on. I'm already tall as fuck. So now I'm fucking 6'1". I have some big ass sandals on and I have a tiny ass dress on. Yes, I am feeling myself. Oh, well, you just think you're cute. Yes, I do. That's correct. Oh, well, you're just trying to show off. Yes, I am. You're correct. I do feel like I'm showing off when I put on my bikini. Yes, I feel like I'm showing out when I put on my basic $5 strapless top. And that's another thing. When you're skinny, guess what? You don't have to spend a bunch of money trying to wear this shirt that has 5 different pairs of Spanx lined inside of the shirt. I don't have to spend all this money on Skims. My body already is a Skim. I don't have to try to hide behind a bunch of designer clothing because I'm bad bodied. I don't have to do all these distractions. Has anybody noticed that, like, a lot of belugas, they do try to have all these big ass distractions? Big ass lace front, giant ass baby hairs, hair down to their knees, braids all the way down to their thighs, gigantic acrylic nails, dramatic makeup, dramatic lashes, dramatic and extreme designer clothing from head to toe. They want you to look at everything else except for their bodies. And it's like, no, I don't have to do that. I enjoy being thin. I enjoy that my shirts cost $1. I remember one time I was able to get a dress for $4 down at the Hispanic swap meet. I was able to get a fucking jersey dress for $4. So yes, it feels good to be effortlessly thin. And by the way, it's really not effortless. That's another thing. That's why I say that people put respect on my name as a healthy person, because they know how much work it takes to be skinny. They know how much maintenance it takes. There's no such thing as, oh, well, this person's just naturally skinny. Oh, well, they just, they were just born and they're genetically skinny. No, that person is skinny because they probably just eat a normal amount of calories. They're not eating 10,000 calories a day like you. That's why they're skinny. And I also find it hilarious when people are blaming genetics, because it's like, okay, so then even if it is her genetics, are you saying that she's genetically superior to you then? Because she has a skinny body and then your whole family is obese. So either way, you're still putting yourself at the bottom, ma'am. Oh, well, she's only skinny because of genetics. Okay, so then her genetics are superior to yours then, according to your own talking points. It reminds me of the hair talking point. Oh, well, her hair is long because she just has good genetics. And it's like, okay, so are you saying that you are genetically inferior then because your whole family is bald headed? Like, ma'am, I'm going to get my pedestal no matter which way you spin it. And as a thin woman, I enjoy my pedestal. I'm not even going to lie. I love my pedestal. I love going into Pilates class and wearing a low cut legging with like a shirt that shows my midriff, not my full belly button, not the sports bra. I can wear that too. That's a good option. But like, just wearing a shirt that shows my midriff, then I walk into the Pilates class and then everybody just looks over at me because they think that I'm like very in shape. I like being mistaken for being the gym teacher. Like when I walk into a class, they're like, oh, are you in charge? No, I'm not in charge. I just happen to have a nice body. I don't actually say that, but I am thinking it. Oh, well, Exoticals United, you just think you're the shit because you're in shape. Yes, that's correct. What's wrong with thinking you're the shit? That's another thing. What's wrong with enjoying your body? What's wrong with thinking you're the shit? It's like you want to shame women for being insecure about their bodies, and then you want to shame women for loving their bodies. Like, which one is it? Pick a struggle. So, yes, I do enjoy being thin. I enjoy the privilege I get. I love it when people comment on my body and they ask me questions like, oh, how many grams of protein are you getting per day? Also, I see a lot of women talking about like divesting or swirling or opening up their options. Well, they don't use the word divestment anymore. Ever since the Exoticals came onto the scene, we completely destroyed that. But they're talking about opening your options. Okay, opening your options to what? If you are obese, the average person is not preferring somebody who's obese because, first of all, those people, a lot of them end up deleting early. They end up passing away early. So, yeah, most people do not prefer that. So, when you are thin and in shape, you already have open options. And even if you do not date white men or whatever, they want to date you. Or at least that's happened to me, where it's like, I don't even care. I won't even be paying attention to any guys. I'll be out here hanging out with my female friends, decentered from men. I don't even give a fuck. Next thing I know, some random white guy is over here trying to talk to me. So that's a part of the thin privilege experience. Even if you're not viewing those guys as an option, they're still viewing you as an option because your body looks so good. And also, with being thin, I love that my aesthetic, I can pull off the aesthetics so well. So for example, if I want to have a day where I look like how Stacey Dash looks in Clueless, because that's a part of my style, if I want to look like that, I can. I literally will just wake up and just put on like a cardigan and like a matching skirt, and then I just go out into the world and I look hella cute. If I want to look goth, like me and my friend actually, we are planning on going to this gothic like bar. They have a bar in my neighborhood, and I guess it's like for punk rock people or whatever. So we were walking down the street the other night, and we saw all these pretty girls like just walking down the street with these black outfits on with like fishnets. And so then I just walked up to one of the girls. I was like, "Hey, what is this? Like, are you guys coming from an event?" And they were like, "Oh, there's like a gothic club right there." So it's just kind of like a bar, and everybody just dresses in all black with like black lipstick. When I tell you guys the way that I can slay a gothic aesthetic, even the schoolgirl aesthetic, sometimes I want to dress like that with a plaid skirt. I just feel like my level of slayage is unmatched as a thin, privileged woman because I'm not so worried about trying to cover everything up. When I was chunky, I was trying to cover everything. Like, oh shit, my thighs are rubbing together. Oh, now I've got a rash in between my legs because my fucking thighs. Oh, my armpits look fat. Oh, wait, I've got the bat wings under my arms. And so now I feel like I'm fucked. I don't look good in my tank top. Now I look like a linebacker because my arms are so fat. So when you're like big, big girl problems are totally different from skinny girl problems. Another thing too that I've seen is I've seen women online who get mad because they don't get into certain restaurants or they're paying hundreds of dollars to get into like house parties and stuff. I have never in my life paid $200 to go to a house party. That's fucking ridiculous. And when I saw a video of women who were complaining about that, guess what size they were? They certainly didn't look like Naomi Campbell. So I also feel like when you are big, you are more likely to get scammed because you see a lot of these pretty girls who are just, they're getting into VIP for free or they're getting invited into certain sections or, like one time actually, I went to a business conference. It was actually a tech conference. And I do go to tech conferences because I use AI for my YouTube channel. I've talked about that on here. So I went to this conference because they were talking about AI and stuff. And after the conference in my neighborhood, they had some little happy hours and stuff. So me and my friend were like, it's free. Let's just go. So we go to the little happy hour. Immediately, we get invited into some guy's little section. And these are more like businessmen. These are not like, it's not like a ratchet ass, like a Rick Ross looking guy or something. No, no. It's more of a businessy type of place. And the actual bar that we went to, it was actually a Hispanic bar. It was like they were known for their salsa classes and stuff. So it was not this ratchet ass type of culture. So we walk in, we immediately get invited into a section. People are immediately approaching us like, oh, hey, like, what do you do for a living? Or where do you work? Or do you want to come and sit down over here? So I just feel like the pedestal as a thin woman is unmatched because you can float into any setting. Also, being thin can add to your ambiguity. It depends on how thin you are. Like in my case, anytime I get to a size small and below, people start mistaking me for Blasian. I'm not Blasian. But I feel like people are stereotyping my body. They're stereotyping that body shape of being very thin, especially with that thigh gap. They're stereotyping that as being a part of the Asian community. I don't know why people do that, but that's also something to think about as well. So it's like, no, I don't want to be fucking 250 pounds. And then the only stereotype I get is that I'm a fucking BBW. And by the way, you can be a BBW and make money, though, kind of like the girl from Love Island. She made money when she was a fucking BBW. She used her BBW to her advantage. That's something that some other women, they could never do it. You know why? Because they don't have the face card. That's why. Oh, Exoticals United, you're mean. Okay, you guys love mean girls. You guys worship mean girls like Taylor Swift and fucking Nicki Minaj and all these women who start beef with each other. You guys worshipped Rihanna when she was beefing with Sierra. You guys worship rappers when they're being mean to each other. So, why is it that you support everybody else when they're being mean? You support these politicians when they're being mean to each other. But suddenly, when Exoticals United creates a video talking about thin privilege, oh, well, I mean, as if you guys care. What are you talking about? Our society worships people who are mean. Society worships people who are cutthroat and people who just get right down to business. You know, people are worshiping these socialites or these people who are very privileged and they live these privileged lifestyles. You're over here watching Kylie Jenner and Kim Kardashian and Bella Hadid and all these socialites and people who flex their privilege, but then suddenly when the exoticals talk about it, oh, well, that's mean. You're being mean by talking about your thin privilege experience. And by the way, has anybody noticed that whenever you're an exotical, people take the things you say so much more seriously? Because you're the one with the social power. So everything I say on this channel, people take it very literally. People take it very seriously because they put me on a pedestal. And I try to tell people, stop putting me on a pedestal. Don't put me on a pedestal. Don't put others on a pedestal. And if you are going to do that, make sure that your pedestal is just as high. But when it comes to being skinny is a fucking pedestal because the entire fashion industry supports thin women with healthy bodies. Every time they do a mannequin or like every time they're making clothes, the measurements they use are based on women with healthy body sizes. And then I hear people saying, oh, well, Fashion Nova, they run small, or, you know, this clothing brand, all their clothes run small. And then they'll be like, oh, I don't want to shop at Shein. I don't want to shop at Princess Polly. What's it called? Is it Princess Polly or whatever it's called? All these shopping apps, they'll be like, no, all of their clothes run small. No, you're just mad because your body shape is not supported on these shopping apps. You are mad because the Asian community, that's where all this stuff is made, is in Asian countries. You're mad because your body does not fit in the Asian community. And so you can only shop at Zara. You can only shop at Nordstrom's and fucking Ann Taylor and fucking all these clothing brands where it's like all the grandmas shop there. You can only shop at the grandma stores. So you're walking into Ann Taylor and it's you and then a bunch of 75-year-old women. You're mad because you have to pay $75 for a dress. I don't have to pay that. That $75 goes straight into my savings. That goes into my investments. That goes towards my trip that I'm going to have. I don't have to spend all this money on Skims and all these different waist training. I have the same corset. So I've talked about waist training and corseting and stuff. By the way, if you want to know more about that, you're definitely going to have to join the Patreon because that type of information, that's too good for YouTube. Because, you know, fuck all these dusty bitches that are trying to watch our channels and then they're trying to steal all the tips and stuff. No, they need to go behind the paywall. But with my corset, if I ever want to do corseting, I have the same corset. I've had it for probably not quite 10 years, but I've had it for at least 7 years now. I don't have to keep rebuying all these different corsets and waist trainers because a lot of women, they're stretching it out. Basically, they're so big that they keep on stretching it or they keep on making the corset go out of shape. They have to buy the more expensive ones. So it's like, no, I bought one corset a few years ago, almost 10 years ago. It was probably, what, $40? And then it just has some strings on it, kind of like a shoestring. And then I just tie it up. It helps to de-bloat me very quickly. Am I saying it's healthy? No. Do I recommend doing it? No. Do I think that it's a good long-term plan? Absolutely not. But guess what? When you're thin, you can get away with doing other shit that other people can't get away with. And by the way, a lot of belugas, they have all these random rules like, oh no, I can't drink the detox tea. I can't do this. It's like, yeah, you don't see a difference with detox teas because you're so big that like, you know, you're looking to a tea to save you. You were hoping that by drinking the ginger tea that suddenly you would lose 10 pounds in your stomach. No, because you have more weight to lose. So for me as a skinny person, I actually see a difference when I drink like apple cider vinegar or something like that. I see a huge difference because I'm already very thin. So there's not really much, you know, like even if it only makes a tiny difference, tiny differences make a huge difference on me because there's not really a lot of fat to begin with. I have a very low body fat percentage. I'm still healthy, but I do have a low percentage. Number 5, being thin becomes more of a flex the older you get. Okay, I'm in my mid 30s. And just for fun, I recently looked it up on ChatGPT. I was like, how many people in their mid 30s are at this body fat percentage? Like, what percentage am I in terms of leanness or being fit? And according to ChatGPT, it said I was in the top 5%. And that's crazy as fuck. That's crazy. I am not an Olympic athlete. I am not a fucking professional sports player. The fact that I'm in the top 5%, and the only difference is that I'm just lean. I'm just at a healthy weight. I eat vegetables every single day. I've never heard of a skinny person that does not eat fruits or vegetables every day. I've never heard of an obese person that eats vegetables every meal. If you're fat, you don't eat enough vegetables. I said what I said. Eat vegetables for every meal. Make the main dish a vegetable dish. Oh, but I like having chicken. Okay, so then mix up some chicken and some vegetables. Make sure you put double the amount of vegetables as the chicken, because all the people who are so obsessed with fucking chicken wings, you do know that you're not going to be able to metabolize that protein, right? Because you did not eat vegetables. You do not have a high fiber content. So all you're doing is bloating your stomach and boo-booing out all of that chicken that you just ate. So you're over here bragging saying, "Oh, but my chicken wings, they have protein." Yeah, protein that you can't use because you didn't pair it with vegetables. Skinny women know this. Belugas do not. Also, if your vitamin C is low, vitamin C helps you to absorb all the other vitamins. So it's like you're over here bragging, "Oh, well, I'm eating chicken. I eat healthy. I'm just eating higher calorie." Okay, but you have no vitamin C, so none of that shit is being absorbed. That's why your hair is breaking off. That is why your skin is bad. And by the way, when it comes to acne, you should not be a grown woman and having a face full of acne. I know that people are going to unsubscribe for me saying this, but that's just ridiculous. Having a whole bunch of acne or having like really, really bad skin as an adult, it makes you look broke. It makes you look poor. It makes you look very dusty. It's similar to having yellow teeth or like, your teeth just look really bad. It's very similar to that. It makes you look dusty or like you don't care about yourself. It's very cheap to just go and get something from CVS. You could get some toner from CVS. You can go get some Proactive. You could get something to fix your skin. You could go to the dermatologist. So instead of me spending $75 on a Zara dress so I can try to suck in my bowling ball stomach, why don't I spend that same money on getting a gym membership and getting some acne medication so that I can fix my skin? Because that's just ridiculous. That's another random thing that I was thinking about. But I've heard some belugas, they'll be like, "Oh, well, nobody cares if you have a stomach. Men don't care. They'll sleep with anything." First of all, that's a very male-centered thing to say. So you're telling me my entire fitness and health journey is based on men? Just because men have low standards, that doesn't mean I'm going to have low standards for myself. The fuck? Oh, well, men don't care about obesity, so I'm just going to be obese now. Oh, well, men want women with big asses, so I'm just going to stay fat so that men can like me. Are you kidding me? Do you hear how male-centered that is? So you're telling me I'm going to be unhealthy because that's what men like. So I am going to risk type 2 diabetes. I'm going to have parasites in my stomach. I'm going to be over here struggling with fungal infections and yeast infections and candida, which is more common in women who are overweight. Candida, a lot of that comes from sugar addiction. Parasites feed off of sugar and processed food. So you're telling me I'm going to walk around with candida and a stinky cooter all so I could have a big butt because that's what the rappers like. That's what Tyrone likes. If I really wanted a big butt that bad, I would have been better off just getting a skinny BBL. If it's really that serious, if I had to choose, if I really wanted a big butt, I would rather be at a skinny, healthy weight and get a skinny BBL or just do some squats or whatever. I'd rather do something like that as opposed to staying overweight and having an unhealthy gut all because that's what men like. That's extremely male-centered. Also, how does that work out for you? If having a big butt truly solved all your problems with men, then we wouldn't see fat women being treated how they are. And that's another thing. I don't like how big women are treated in our society, so why would I volunteer for more suffering? Why would I do that? I already have to deal with haters. I have to deal with racist people, colorism, texturism, featureism, etc. socioeconomic differences, people hating on you because of your nationality, all that stuff. We have all these different problems, and now you want me to add being overweight on top of that. That makes no sense. Why would I choose to make my life harder? Having a big ass doesn't solve your problems with men. Having a big ass doesn't make him faithful. Having a big booty doesn't mean that you're just going to get the princess treatment 24/7 for the rest of your life. There's no such thing as a perfect life. Having a big butt is not going to solve all of my life's problems. And it's like, okay, let's say you really like having a big butt. Okay, if you're culturally black, that's fine. Just say that. Just say it. Just say, hey, I follow black culture and black beauty standards, etc. So I enjoy having a big butt. Okay, so since you're so Afrocentric, go ahead and move to an Afrocentric city or country, and then just live your best life then. Why are you trying to project your internalized beauty standard onto women who are not Afrocentric? I'm not Afrocentric. I am multicultural. So I don't really, I've never really had an obsession with having these giant butts and giant hips and boobs and all that. And that's fine. So it's like, why is it okay for you to have your beauty standard of a big butt, but then it's not okay for me to have my standard of having a little butt? Why can't two things be true at the same time? You get to enjoy your big butt, and that's fine. And then I'm going to enjoy my little butt. I enjoy wearing a teeny, teeny, tiny mini skirt and a short dress. I enjoy showing off my lower back. That's actually one of my favorite parts of my body as a skinny woman. I love having a skinny back. I didn't have any idea how like beautiful that looked until I saw myself in other people's videos. I was like, oh my God, it literally looks like the early 2000s video vixens. Remember how they used to wear the low cut jeans and then they would show midriff? So it's like they had a cropped baby t-shirt and then they would like show just their lower back. I love that. I love wearing a tracksuit. Remember the Juicy Couture tracksuits and stuff? I love being able to wear that and just look cute and be carefree. And I don't know, I just like it. And also, even the girls that do have the big booties, generally speaking, those women still have flat stomach privilege. So even the BBWs and all that, they tend to still have flat stomach privilege, which means that, you know, they can wear a crop top, they can wear a broad top, they can wear high-waisted jeans, low-waisted, etc. So a lot of people, they don't realize the power of having that flat stomach. Most women in our society do not have flat stomachs. Majority of women in America do not have a small stomach. Most women have a bowling ball stomach. When they turn to the side, they look like Humpty Dumpty. That's most women. They have an egg-shaped body type where it's like they have the skinny toothpick legs and toothpick arms, and then the middle is kind of like an egg. That is the average shape. And then the average size, I think, is what, a 16 or an 18? I looked it up a while back on this channel. But I'm not giving up my thin privilege for anybody. I see all these black women on YouTube making level up content, and notice how they conveniently skip over thin privilege. They talk about everything else. Oh, get a lace front, get your nails done, wear some high heels, get a Zara dress. But I don't see anybody emphasizing how your weight comes first. Having a healthy body comes first. It doesn't matter if you have a nice dress on if you're wearing that dress in a casket. They're over here talking about leveling up, and they're bypassing how important it is to be physically healthy. So you're telling me that going on a date is more important than your physical health? If that's not male-centered, I don't know what is. I see all this content about leveling up. Nobody's talking about eating a salad. Eat a salad, eat some vegetables, drink some water. Put some lemon in your water. Put a little bit of apple cider vinegar in your water. Why is nobody talking about that? Why is it always, oh, just, go sit at the bar and then wait for this white man to come sweep you off your feet? And if your boyfriend's black, then like he's dusty. And if you don't have a big ass, then like you're ugly. If that's not a dusty mindset, I don't know what is. But thin privilege is really the foundation for all the other privileges because, first of all, with having a healthy body, it literally affects my skin. My skin is more clear than normal. My body actually heals faster. So if I get any scars or hyperpigmentation, it heals faster because I'm getting so much fruit and antioxidants in my body. My hair is obviously healthier because my diet is literally just better. And I hear a lot of women are now talking about social climbing. And it's like, first of all, the Exoticals, That's the first space. We are the first space to actually talk about social climbing in a positive way. Before we came onto the scene, social climbing was viewed as something negative. That was viewed as something that's like really bad, to be a social climber. But it's like, no, everybody is social climbing whether they realize it or not. They want to get a promotion at work. They want to go from middle class to upper class. They want to go from living in the hood to living in a nice neighborhood. They want to go from living in a small town to living in a big city, or they want to switch countries. They want to immigrate to a whole new country that's a first world country instead of living in a third world country. All of that is social climbing. Hypergamy, that's social climbing. So being thin, that is very helpful on your social climbing journey because, first of all, you're more able bodied. You can think more clearly because your diet is better. But a lot of women online, they are trying to figure out the exoticals because they just can't keep up with the exoticals level up. I just feel like if you're a gorgeous exotical, not only do you have social capital, but a lot of you guys have cultural capital as well. So coming from this multicultural background, I feel like you get a good variety of beauty tips. You get a good variety of social climbing tips. You see a lot of different versions of leveling up, and a lot of people who are monocultural, they don't really see that. So they've only seen women level up by having fat asses, or they've only seen women level up by sleeping with rappers or whatever. And that's one way. I'm not shaming women who have done that, but when you have a multifaceted point of view, it just gives you more options. That's all I'm trying to say. Being thin is an option. And so the women who try to discourage you from being thin or they shame you because you lost weight, that's a very dusty mindset. That's a crabs in a bucket mindset. And notice how they only shame exoticals who lost weight because they did this not just with the girl from Love Island, but they also did this with that pretty privileged lady, the lady who went viral on TikTok, where she was like, pretty privilege is real. I got put on a pedestal for my eye color and my skin color. Remember that lady? She used to be obese. And then they made fun of her for losing weight. But I don't see them making fun of unambiguous black women for losing weight. In fact, they celebrate that. And they say, wow, good for you. It took a lot of discipline to lose weight. And the way that I think of food is every bite that I take is either getting me closer to leveling up or it's making me more dusty. So every bite of food, it is either making me look better or it's making me look worse. Having high sugar, that ruins your collagen. It breaks down your collagen so your face begins to sag, your skin begins to sag. All this talk about toning up, okay, well, you're going to be fucked if you eat a whole bunch of sugar anyway, because it's going to break down all of that firm skin that you have. Your skin is literally going to be looser and it's going to be low quality the more sugar you eat. And also, you're more likely to have candida and yeast infections by eating too much sugar. Oh, and by the way, if you are thinking about modeling and you're watching this, just so you know, plus size modeling jobs are currently on the decline because being thin is back in again. Because we did have the plus size era, we did have kind of this BBL era, and I'm not saying it doesn't exist because beauty comes in many forms, but just so you know, if you are thinking about leveling up via a modeling career, you may want to consider doing the thin version of modeling. Also, there are many different types of modeling. And when it comes to this girl on Love Island, the fact that she was able to be a model and be plus size, I mean, she was smart. She's been social climbing since before she was on Love Island. So that's actually a smart idea. It's better than just being fat and just sitting around on your balcony smoking a blunt. So it's not like she was sitting around doing nothing. Like she was making a name for herself. She was making a stream of income for herself. So if you are an exotical thinking about modeling, what kind of modeling are you trying to do? You can do pageants, you can do like TV commercials or whatever. You could do like, that's kind of the more traditional old school modeling. You can do runway, which is kind of a little bit more of an old school thing. Or you can do the modern version of it, which is doing brand deals on like Instagram and TikTok and stuff. So I feel like as exoticals, we have a lot of options. Also, if you're multiracial or multicultural, you could do brand deals with companies from your other culture. And then when you go online to apply for those brand deals, just say, hey, I'm an Afro Jamaican woman or I'm an Afro Caribbean woman, and your brand is Caribbean and blah, blah, blah. I think this would be great representation. So that's another advantage you have as an exotical. So it's just another privilege that you get to stack. But Another hypocrisy I've noticed about plus size women is they'll be plus size, but then they don't want a plus size man, or they want a man who is more in shape than them. Or they say that they're not attracted to obese men. It's like, okay, so then you're admitting that not being obese is more attractive then. So then you can't convince me that you think that I'm suddenly just this hideous, ugly person because I have a flat stomach. You're not going to convince me of that. Okay, number 7, being skinny makes me feel powerful. The discipline that is required to be thin and maintaining a thin body, I get to cross that discipline over into many other areas. So it has helped me with like my content creation business. That mindset has helped me with like my skincare, my hair growth, learning new languages. So you learn a lot of skills when it comes to weight loss. You learn skills that could be transferable. You learn discipline. You learn about consistency. All of that is required to lose weight. You have to be consistent. You have to be disciplined. You have to show up for yourself when nobody else is showing up for you. You have to learn how to say no to yourself. You have to learn how to overcome temptation when you're thin. So, those are actually some very valuable skills that can help you to level up in other areas. And for all the people who are the hypergamous women who are watching this, a lot of the women who are getting with these rich guys or whatever, are they obese? Because I don't see that. It's actually more likely for obese women to be hypogamous or to be with broke men because, generally speaking, a man who has worked hard for his wealth and his status, he's not going to waste his resources on a woman that is perceived as being low status. And I know that's hard to hear. But I can tell you, as somebody who did grow up in the suburbs, I'm not rich or anything, but a lot of the people that I was around that did have more money, they were very aware of status. And so, first of all, the wives on average were in shape. Okay, like the soccer moms and all that, they tended to be more in shape. A lot of them had flat stomachs. A lot of them had the mommy makeovers or the boob jobs or whatever. So, even for the women who care about things like hypergamy, you are less likely to be hypergamous the bigger you are because everybody in America is big. That's average. The average woman in America is big. The average woman in America is a size 16 or size 18 or whatever. So that is something to think about as well if you do care about that. Being skinny is rare. Being skinny is a form of status, and your status actually increases the older you get. So for me, you would think that I would hit the wall, right? You know how men have this talking point where it's like, once you hit 30, you hit the wall, you're considered ugly or like your value goes down. No, actually, my status as a woman in my mid 30s has gone up. I actually am treated better now versus when I was about 27, 28. And it's because I look better overall. I look healthier. It's definitely more of a flex. Like to get into your mid 30s and 40s and 50s and to still be very in shape, that becomes even more rare because generally speaking, most women in their 20s actually are thin. You should be thin. You better be thin, especially if you're age 25 and below. You should be thin. You just got out of childhood less than 10 years ago. So if you had good parents, you will be thin just because of how you were raised. Um, so that's pretty normal. That's more average and more common to be thin when you're in your 20s. But once you hit your 30s, 40s, and 50s, a lot of women, they start letting themselves go. That's when their mistakes start to show up. That's when women start, they go through their first divorce. They go through their first breakup. Maybe they had their first kid. Now they're co-parenting. They've been in the workforce now for about a decade. Once they hit 35, 45, now they've been in the workforce. So they've been dealing with the stresses of their jobs. So that's when you start to kind of separate the women who are good at self-care from the women who weren't. And for me, being in my mid 30s, I see a lot of women in my city, they're struggling and they're kind of like panicking at my age. They're starting to panic because those gray hairs are coming in. And by the way, there is nothing wrong with aging at all. Like if you have gray hairs or something, that's not a big deal. But for some women, they really care about that. But I've noticed in my city, a lot of women, their gray hairs are coming in. They're starting to gain weight. The weight doesn't come off as easily. And I don't even believe in that either. You know how they say, oh, your metabolism just slows down when you're in your 30s. Okay, so then why was it that I was able to go all the way back to a size extra small in my 30s? Why was it harder for me in my 20s versus my 30s then? If my metabolism is supposed to be fucked because I'm in my 30s, then why was I able to go back to the same size that I was in my 20s? But a lot of women around my age, they start panicking because all of that self-neglect that they did in their 20s is starting to catch up to them. So, they didn't spend any time in their 20s growing out their hair. They neglected their hair. They got alopecia, so now their hair follicles are fucked. Now they got to go to Turkey to try to get a hair transplant. A lot of women in my age range, they're panicking because their face is starting to sag because they didn't do a good job with their skincare in their 20s. They didn't have a good diet. They were overeating sugar. So their collagen stores are fucked. So now they're over here running to try to get like all these different things, like fillers that they don't need. And I probably sound very anti filler. I'm not against filler. I think that maybe if you're doing a lot of work on camera, I can see why you would get filler. So if you're an actress, if you're being filmed all the time, maybe if you're going to be on camera, if you're being seen on camera more than you're being seen in real life, then I feel like it makes a little bit more sense. But generally speaking, a lot of the women in my city, they're completely ruining their faces with filler for no reason. For no reason at all. You're invisible as fuck and you got a whole bunch of fillers because you thought that would make you have pretty privilege. And it's like, no, if your face card declines, it's still going to decline even with the filler. So a lot of women in my age group, they start panicking, because the weight is starting to pack on, their hair is thinning out, their teeth, maybe they neglected their teeth in their 20s and 30s. So now they're losing teeth. Like that really is a thing. Like some women, they haven't been to the dentist in 10 or 15 years. And, maybe their gap is starting to show up, or maybe they got their teeth done in their 20s. I've also seen that as well. Women who got their teeth done cosmetically in their 20s, and then now in their 30s, you're supposed to keep caring for your teeth regardless. You're not supposed to just get veneers and then you're just done forever. No, you're supposed to maintain whatever beauty you have. So a lot of women in their 30s, they start to realize the importance of beauty maintenance. So they never had beauty hobbies, or they're trying to catch up. That's what I've noticed. They're playing catch up. So maybe they didn't have a good beauty routine, or they didn't have the social skills in their 20s. So now they're in their 30s, they can't get a promotion. They don't have any leveled up friends. They don't have a good social circle. They don't have any business skills because they wasted their time being a dumbass throughout their entire 20s. They drank and smoked away their 20s. They spent all their money in their 20s on Hennessy and hookah. They spent all their time sucking up on a blunt, smoking up on blunts 24/7. And so now in their 30s, they don't have any skills. They only speak one language, which is dusty, by the way. I know that's going to be very offensive to most people. If you're an exotical, look, let the monocultural women be the dumbasses. I will never tell the exoticals to not learn a second language. And I'm not saying you have to be fluent in a second language. You don't have to be fluent, but you should be able to greet people in a second language. You should be able to have a basic conversation in a second language. You should be able to order food or survive in the airport in a second language, because that's a part of being leveled up. I see all these women talking about jet setting and traveling and catch flights, not feelings. Okay, catch a flight where, bitch? You can only speak one language. What are you talking about? You can only go to countries where they prioritize English. And don't get me wrong, pretty much English is the world language. So I'm not trying to say it like English is bad, but you can't tell me that you're truly multicultural and you don't even know how to say hello in another language. That's extremely dusty. That's extremely dusty. Let the hood boogers be the representation of that. But as exoticals, we are already doing a great job with our collective image. We have a very positive collective image. We are known for being multifaceted. So I want us to keep that same energy. I think we've been doing a great job over the last few decades, and especially since the exotical space came onto the scene. I don't see as many unambiguous women coming for exoticals anymore, because now they know better. Now they know that they're going to be getting a response. So I like that. I like that we've taken back our power. And even when it comes to being thin, that's a part of me taking back my power. Like, no, bitch, I'm not going to be a size 16. Just because I'm in my 30s doesn't mean that I get to be a beluga now. Or, oh, I'm just going to be unhealthy because I'm in my 30s. No. My life is not over once I hit 30. My life is actually just beginning. I feel more independent now. I'm actually living a way better life now in my 30s versus my 20s. I have way more freedom now. A lot of women, they never lived on their own in their 20s. They've never been independent. Maybe they went from living with their parents to just getting married, or, they lived with their parents, they went to college, had a roommate, and then they just got married. So they've never had a sense of independence. All of those differences start to show up in your 30s and 40s. All of those status differences. I feel like when you're in your 20s, the status gap between dusties versus leveled up people, the gap is not as big because everybody's in their 20s. They just got out of their childhood less than a decade ago. So they can't really tell the difference yet. But once you hit your 30s, 40s, 50s, oh my God, there's a huge difference in social status between those who wasted their time or they fucked up versus the people who were good at planning or the people who made better decisions. And I feel like your weight is also a representation of your decisions. If you have a healthy weight, it's because you made healthy decisions. Oh, but I don't eat that healthy and I'm still skinny, Exoticals United. Okay, but you still made a healthy decision because you weren't binging on processed foods. Because if you were, then you would not be at a healthy weight. But what do you ladies think? Let me know in the comment section and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.